Are you finding that we deal with a lot of recruitment firms, and speaking to them, they've found it, especially over the last sort of 6 to 8 months, it's gradually getting harder and harder each month, especially on the perms. Not so much the temp side of things, but the perms seem to be businesses are not, and we've experienced it with our customers when we're quoting for things at the moment. Businesses seem to be a bit cautious at the moment around committing to certain funding on certain projects, whatever it may be. With recruitment, are you finding the same thing, or is that just a...
So can we swear on this podcast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So last year was shit. Absolutely. Like, we can write 2024 off completely for that very reason. That it was from January to June, and probably if I was to really look back on it, like I said, the 2023 peak period was 30% less than what we forecasted. So probably like November of that year into June of last year was horrendous, like the worst we've known it probably since we started. Right. And that was through nervousness around hiring. The people weren't spending money, so therefore the warehouses weren't busy. It was just horrendous.
And have you found that what stresses has that brought for yourselves in terms of, you've got this huge cost base there. If you've got 40 odd staff, that's a big cost base. You've got office costs, electricity, all the bits and pieces. Is that put you under an immense amount of stress where you got to the point at any point and thought, you know what, this ain't worth it anymore?
No, I don't think we've ever thought that, because we're always keeping that exit, plan in the head. That's always the dream, or the goal, right? Yeah, is that end bit. But I think the difficulty with last year is nobody saw it coming necessarily, and it weren't just us. That was sector wide.
Yeah, it was just a light switch, man.
Yeah, it's like the whole. You only have to scroll on LinkedIn through the periods last year to see these even people that lead these organisations that are like offering training and support and all that to the sector were saying how dire it was. However, we were in a slightly fortunate stance that we had a really good sales team that then, probably we're now from June to now we're feeling the benefit of having. So, but it didn't come without its challenges. We had to make redundancies. We had to cut the costs. I think on last count, Helly, and she kind of manages the finance arm of the business from a accountability or responsibility side. I think it was something like 400 grand's worth of savings that we had to make, or we found that we've just, then it makes you think, what we were doing in 2022, 23 to, where's it gone?
Yeah, where's that money gone?
Yeah, and I think so, when it comes to those scalable questions, it's never quite, you've got to keep your eye on the cash, because cash is king.
100%.
Knock-on effect of having less turnover and sales of what you expected is then it affects your cash flow, affects your ability to pay the VAT. You're then having to try and juggle those commitments that, and then you got, you might have had a time to pay in the past on your VAT, and then the HMRC then turn around and go, well, you're not having any more. No. And then you're all thinking, well, our advisors said that we were going to get it, and then we're like, well, you've been advised wrong then, haven't you? All of those things come up, and then you have to navigate a whole different set of challenges while keeping the business operational and all of that stuff. So there are times where you have to make some critical decisions, and unfortunately that meant that we had to cut some heads last year.
Which is not a nice position to be in when you're a business owner. It's horrible, because when you go back to the COVID, the first thought we had, or I did, especially for Bluebell Cloud, was, oh my God, we've got all these heads. In order to grow at the rate we're growing at the moment and stay as we are, we've got to be selling. And basically that's now stopped. And I knew I had people in there with children that needed to get paid at the end of the month, and we did exactly the same thing. Quickly opened up the laptop and was like, we've got 4 months, maybe 5 at a push. What are we going to do? These people are going to be sat in 5 months. with no money, with children.
Yeah.
It was soul destroying for me.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I'd never experienced anything like it. I remember my in-laws were around actually that evening. I just remember just sat at the end of the sofa. I just saw tears just dropping on the floor, thinking, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
I just didn't. It's amazing how that one instance, I think, was probably the worst instance I've ever had in business, where you just felt like you were in a room with no door, no windows. You know, it was concrete, top to bottom, side to side, and the light was off. And it was like, how am I going to get out of this? There was just no way out. It felt like that at that time.